And I am hurling down the side of Mount Revelstoke on the Mount Revelstoke Pipe Mountain Coaster. If you don't know what a pipe mountain coaster is, it's basically a plastic shoebox, and you don't have an accelerator, you don't have a steering wheel, you're all alone. All you have is a brake. It's a yoke that you could pull towards you to go slow, and I am going fast because my kids and my wife, who I love, are somewhere behind me at the top of the mountain. It's our last day of vacation. I've loved British Columbia, I've loved Alberta, but now I am screaming down the side of a mountain. No hikes, no demands for what to do next, just speed, and everything is amazing, and I feel like a kid again. And I'm screaming and hurtling down the side of this mountain until suddenly I have to pull back on the brake because I've caught up to the grandparents of some other family. And I don't mean to throw any aspersions on these grandparents. They're probably very nice people, but they are not going top speed. They are taking pictures of all the beautiful scenery, which I've spent the last 2 weeks loving, and I just want to go flying down the mountain. So I am slowly puttering behind them. And then I break one of the rules of the Mount Revelstoke Pipe Mountain Coaster. I come to a complete stop on the track. This is a dumb rule. Why can't you come to a complete stop on the track? I'm going to let these guys get a long head start, and then I'm going to go after them. And you know what? While I'm at a complete stop, I'm just going to enjoy the scenery. Look at this. Beautiful grass, beautiful breeze, beautiful trees. Is that a dog coming out of the trees? That's not a dog, it's a bear! It's a bear coming out of the trees! And it's about as close to me as, I don't know, like the back of this audience. And it looks at me, and I look at it, and I realize three things at the same time. First, I am not smart enough to know if this is a black bear, a brown bear, a grizzly bear, or what that actually means. Two, this is why you don't stop on the Pipe Mountain Coaster. And three, my son Owen, I can hear him screaming as he's coming behind me at top speed, and I've got a snap decision to make. What do I do? What do I do? The bear, he's not getting closer. He's just looking at me like, what are you doing here? And so I do the only thing I can do. I push forward again. I start hurtling down the coaster. I try and catch me, buddy, whether to the bear or to my son, I don't know, but it doesn't matter because I'm gone. And I realize after I finish, and we've all survived, that this is what parenting really is all about. You just got to hold on and hope that the bear doesn't eat your kid. Thank you.
Canary yellow bikini bottoms with a rainbow-colored belt going through belt loops. My first bikini. I am at the ocean with my family on vacation in Maine. And I am 7 years old, and I am as happy as a clam. I get to play queen of the shore at the beach, and I get to chase the little sandpipers around. One day, some girls are playing fashion show, and they invite me. My bikini must be that impressive. We all sit in the sand, and we have to cheer whoever's the fashion model, and oh yes, there's judging. Wow, say the mini judges, or good, or you walk too slow. My turn is last, and as the youngest in my family, I know how to make this show even better. I get up with my pink princess beach towel, and I go sashaying down, loosey-goosey, head nodding, hips swaying. I know that they're going to love this. Too bouncy, says one judge. No, yeah, says a judge with a pink bikini and white daisies. Yeah, you move too much. Everyone goes again, and it's serious. My turn. This time, I throw in some hair flips, and I wave at the sky, and I grin at the audience. Stop making fun of the fashion show. Pink bikini again. You can't play if you don't take it seriously. Third time. This time, I sashay all the way down the sandy aisle, and I throw in some little sandpiper moves, and no, Pink Bikini is yelling at me. You can't play anymore. I walk away, and I plop down into the warm sand. I see the little sandpipers racing along the shore. I go join them. Thank you.
I'm sorry, you're going to have to leave, is what the nurse told my wife and I 3 days after being in the hospital from my son being born. So 3 days later, you have to leave. And we were freaking out. Oh my God, we have to leave now? We were not prepared. We thought we could stay another day. They're like, your wife and your son are both healthy. You've got to go. We need the bed. And we were just freaking out. We got stuff all over the room. We don't have anyone to help us. We got to take a cab. We're not ready to be parents. What are we going to do outside of the hospital without help? Oh, my God. So my wife had a cesarean, so she's not allowed to pick anything up absolutely under no circumstances. You can't pick up anything. And I'm trying to think, what are we going to do? We have like 20 bags. Why do you have so many bags in the hospital? And I turn around, and she just has all the bags on her, like Rambo, ready to go. She's like, let's go. Next thing you know, we're on the main floor. I got the baby in my hand. I got bags. She's got all her bags. And it's pouring rain outside. Oh, my God. We got to get a cab. We get into the cab. We have the car seat. We put it in the back. We can't get it to fit. The cab driver's like, are you okay? We're like, yeah, just go. We were not okay. We couldn't get it to fit. We were just holding it with our dear life, hoping the baby doesn't go flying. Perfect thing we're doing already. Day 3 as parents, we're cheating. Oh my God. We get to my house, and we get out of the car, and we're exhausted, throw all the bags into the house. My wife throws me onto the couch. We go inside. She goes into the room with the baby, and we pass out. Next day I wake up. Things are a bit better. The sun is out. It's a nice day. I'm calm. The baby and my wife are fine. We're relaxed. My mom gives me a call. She goes, are you guys okay? We're like, yeah, everything's fine. What's wrong? She's like, do you have water in your apartment? I'm like, water? So I turn on the sink, and water's coming out. She's like, no, not the sink, in your basement. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, don't you listen to the news? I'm like, I was busy yesterday. She's like, the entire city of Montreal flooded. Remember last summer in August when there was a flood in Montreal? That was the day that we came home from the hospital. And we're totally oblivious of the whole thing. So it was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And I go to the basement. Basement's fine. And oh my God. And it turned out that everything was okay. But I realized after the moment that we made it through a flood. We were responsible enough to take my son from the hospital to our place during a flood. So if we could do that, then we could probably do anything. And now he's 7 months old, and we're doing fine as parents. Thank you.
It's our last day in Nepal. And we're supposed to be going back to Kathmandu, because it's a couple of hours from Pokhara. But instead, I'm strapped to a stranger with my 7-year-old, running off the Himalayan mountains, I forgot. Gliding, sky gliding. And then, so we're sky gliding, and I'm looking down into Feiwai Lake. It's oh so beautiful, silver. And I think to myself, oh, I'm at one with nature. Also soaring is my flight back to Dhaka. Goodbye, Nepal. And this wasn't the first time, because even the flight here had started with a missed flight. So we're back in Dhaka, and it's 15 minutes to boarding time. And I'm in the corridors, and I look across, and the magical corridors of duty-free shopping is calling my name, Titina. And I think to myself, I need an iPhone X, not to make phone calls, who needs that? To take pictures of the memories we're going to be making in Nepal. So I say to myself, I am going to do what any responsible traveler would do. It's only going to take 15 minutes. I'm going to be back, right? No. And the flight leaves without us. The audacity. Rude. You think I'd learn, but 1 year later, I'm in Malaysia. And it's the morning of my flight back to Dhaka. And I'm strolling down to Chinatown, just like every day I do on this little short trip that I've had. And I say to myself with my immense wisdom, today is the day I shall be getting my Buddha tattoo. And the artist says to me, it won't take long. Lies, all lies. 2,000 years later, I am strolling back to the cab and into the cab, and I feel all zen and spiritual going to the airport with my friend, and I hand over my boarding pass, and they look at me, they give me the look. Ma'am, your flight was yesterday. Seems to me that tattoos are permanent, my memory not so much. And not only am I missing flights, I'm also time traveling past them. But I've learned a thing or two, that life isn't about all these schedules. It's about the detours. It's about making these memories, taking these magical moments and these impulsive moments that make for a great story later. Yeah, I should be looking at my ticket once in a while, and phones can be for something other than taking pictures, but if it's going to be a choice between missing flights and missing life, I think I know which one I don't want to miss.
At 4 years old, there was nothing I wanted more in life than to grow up to become a professional wrestler. Yes, I, now an anxious, conflict-avoidant adult, dreamed of being the next Undertaker or Triple H. See, every night when my dad got home from his late shifts at work, I would sneak out of my bedroom and we'd watch some classic WWE together. I was mesmerized by their strength and the campy choreography. And on weekends, my dad fed into my fantasies. He would play wrestle with me and my older sister, picking us up and throwing us onto the mattress as we threw fake punches at each other. It was exhilarating. Sometimes, if my sister and I were feeling brave, we'd practice our wrestling moves without him. And it was on one of these occasions that everything changed. My parents were down the hall in the kitchen, my sister and I alone in our bedroom, practicing our choreography when I moved a little too recklessly, and my hip collided with her face. She threw her hands over her mouth and started screaming and screaming, and I, like any rational 4-year-old, hid in a corner of the room before seeing if she was okay. Clearly something terrible had gone wrong for her to be reacting like this, and I didn't want to get in trouble. Now, my mother has since described the feeling of the blood leaving her body as she panicked, repeatedly asked my sister where I was and what had happened to me, because I was silent and nowhere to be found. The reality is that my sister was just a little squeamish, and I had just knocked out one of the very loose teeth she'd refused to let my mother pull for weeks. I felt confident in the change of mood after this revelation to tiptoe out of my hiding place, but in that moment, I knew that the tides had turned, and my wrestling career was over before it could even really take off. I'd have to hang up my leotard and consider some alternate career options for myself. Maybe Spider-Man was more realistic? Thank you.
It is a long weekend in spring, and I am 7 years old, and after 6 hours in the car, we arrive at my grandmother's house, or as I call her, Nanny, because she lives in Bonavista Bay in Newfoundland. And as always, I'm the first one to pop open the door of my dad's mint green Oldsmobile. And I run up to the door and I lift the latch to go in. The door is never locked because there is no lock, because it's Bonavista Bay, Newfoundland in the 80s. And my grandmother is reliably at the kitchen, in the kitchen, and she's got a pot of moose soup on the wood stove that she cooks on in the 1980s and for the rest of her life. And my grandfather is sitting in his seat between the table and the fridge, drinking a beer, chain smoking Rothman cigarettes, and stoking the fire in the wood stove. And before I get out of the car, my father reminds me of the rule. Do not open Nanny's fridge. Don't open any cupboards, don't open anything. Nanny will offer food. It's rude to take. And sure enough, I sit down at the kitchen table and Nanny comes out with a big bag of what we call mud balls, these coconut chocolate things that she's made, and she whumps it on the table in front of me. And the feasting has begun. The next afternoon, though, I'm alone in the house because it's the 80s, and I'm 7. And I'm hungry, and, you know, if nobody witnesses the opening of the fridge door, the rule isn't technically broken, or at least it's not rude. So I gingerly open the fridge, and I see a platter, and there's, under this meticulously tight saran wrap, there is a lump, a big brown lump of what looks like a chocolate loaf, and there's a few pieces cut. And first I'm like, I'm the grandchild, why wasn't I offered chocolate loaf? But sure enough, no dishes, no evidence. I will lift the film ever so gently and grab a piece. And just as I break the seal, I get hit with this wall. Fish, meat, fish, meat. And I recognize from my gag reflex that it's seal meat. And I got the film back on and slammed the door, and that's the day that I learned to always heed my father's advice. And it's also the day that I gained a lifelong suspicion of chocolate cake. Thank you.
Around the corner from where I work is a great little spring roll restaurant. And once a week, sometimes every 2 weeks, On my way home from work, I stop in and get spring rolls for dinner. And I have this, relationship with the young man behind the counter. He's always on the shift when I'm going in. It's a formal kind of relationship, professional, but we recognize each other, smile with our eyes, because he's still wearing a mask. But he knows my name, because I have to give him my name to get the order, Miss Deborah. My workplace closes for 2 months. July and August, there are no spring rolls. Come September, I'm walking by again. I go get spring rolls. There he is. We recognize each other. He's getting my bag ready. Calls my name, Miss Deborah, getting my bag ready. And he hands it to me, and I hear him say, "Where have you been?" And I think, oh, he's taking our relationship to another level. And I'm about to launch into I work around the corner at the Artist Run Center, and we close for two months. And just before I launch into this, I'm just I'm gonna clear this up. What did you say? I ask him, "Do you want napkins with this?" No, thanks. See you later. And I walk down the street with those spring rolls, and I'm just thinking, phew, kooky customer moment averted.
My grandmother always said it's a miracle every day we wake up. This is what I'm telling my reflection in the dressing room mirror. I'm in ratty underwear and white sweat socks. Yeah, I'm happy I woke up this morning. I just wish it was in a toner body and better underwear. So I've just been told by a 16-year-old at sports expert who had caterpillars for eyelashes that there were no bathing suits in my size, and I am deeply regretting this trip to Florida at March break. I've now pawed my way through dozens of bathing suits at the Bay and found one suit in my size that doesn't have frills or boob padding and out of which my ass won't hang. I slip it on. It's not bad. Even with my panties sticking out of it, it fits quite well. I'm happy. It costs a fortune, but I feel much better. I head to the cash where there's a short line and a lone cashier. She's asking everyone, "Do we have the points card? Do we want to apply for a credit card and get an immediate discount?" Her name is Mila. She has jet black hair and wears reading glasses around her neck. When it's my turn, I tell Mila, I don't want the credit card. "Why?" she says. "I'd get a 15% discount right away." I tell Mila, I really just don't want another credit card, Mila gets it. So she rings up my purchase, and then she looks at me. "Are you..." She's searching my face like she knows me or something. "Don't take this the wrong way," she says. I'm like, where is this going? "Are you 55? "Why do you ask?" I answer. "Well, you would qualify for the seniors discount." "Shut the front door, Mila! I'm 57! Woo! She says, "You qualify! It's 15% off everything in the store, only on Tuesdays." I'm like, "I'll take it!" Mila laughs and she says, "Not everyone likes getting offered the seniors discount." She says, "There's one lady last week, she wasn't even 50. Boy, was she pissed." She's like, "But you don't look 55, but I wanted to offer you because you didn't want the credit card." I said, "Mila, you made my day." Walking through the mall with my little bay bag, I've got a bounce in my step as I'm passing throngs of young women with caterpillar eyelashes, and they've got nothing on me. I woke up this morning, and I just got my first seniors discount.
I take a lot of walks these days, and I see a lot of interesting things. But the other day I saw the most horrific thing I'd ever seen in my life. It was like this lady, and she had on this belt that went around, and there were 2 leashes off of it, one that went to her dog, and the other that went to her son. And I thought to myself, one day that boy is going to outgrow the leash. And he's going to be running free. He's going to get bigger. And this dog is going to think, he's off the leash because he's a good boy. And the dog is going to think, one day I'm going to be a good boy. And I'll come off the leash. And maybe at the dog park, they let the dog off the leash, and he goes running over to all his pals, and he says, I'm off the leash, I'm a good boy. And then they call him back at the end of their time at the park, and they put the leash back on. And he says, oh no, I'm a bad boy. And every year, this dog is going to keep thinking, maybe it's this time, maybe it's this time, I'm a good boy, finally. But years will pass, and he'll get older and older, and one day he'll be dying, and he'll be thinking, I've never been a good boy. And this is why it's the most horrific thing I'd ever seen, because it planted the expectation in the mind of this dog that one day it would be a good boy. Thank you.
I'm at the DMV, a 24-hour emergency animal hospital in Lachine. It's after midnight on a weekend, of course, because frankly, no one would be here if our pets could just have their medical emergencies during regular business hours. I'm in the waiting room, and it turns out one of my cats has had a heart attack. I'm distressed. Every hour that passes, my anxiety and fatigue worsen. I'm not sure if she's going to survive. A couple of hours later, the cat cardiologist comes out and tells me to go home. They will update me when they have more information. About a year earlier, the pandemic was just kicking off, and a lot of bad things happened to a lot of people, but one very good thing happened to me. I got a pair of cats. One of them was named Bella, and as her name suggests, she was gorgeous and got away with everything. The other one was called Night, and she was clearly used to living in the shadows. She kept to herself, did not care to be brushed, and was just constantly overeating. Nonetheless, both these cats would keep me company in the loneliest year of the pandemic. 2 days after the heart attack, the DMV finally calls me back, and I'm just so thrilled that Night's still alive. I rush back, right? The cost of that visit ends up being over $3,000, and even though they did save her, they told me to put a DNR on her, just in case this happens again. They also give me some pricey heart medication, which would have to be renewed every month indefinitely, but don't get your hopes up, the cat cardiologist tells me as I'm leaving. It would be a miracle if she makes it past Christmas. That, folks, was almost 4 years ago. Night is still overeating, mostly at my savings. Clearly, she has not used up her 9 lives just yet.
It's a quiet night. I'm wiping the kitchen counter. And I recall this corner of the kitchen. I recall the times they attacked, like wild animals, with teeth bared and dripping saliva. They would close the space between the fridge and the counter, leaving no way to escape. Their face would come closer, the voice louder, shooting words like sharp knives with every yell.
I broke that night, and on so many other nights. I sat on the kitchen floor and cried while they passed by, treating me like a piece of garbage on the floor, something not even worth stepping on. Now they are gone. But the corner remains. And I wonder how to rewrite the story of the corner. Maybe turning it into a holy place? A place to come close, to share the warmth of a breath, to touch the curve of a neck, to whisper the spring breeze into waiting ears? I wonder.
So I'm lying in bed with my boyfriend Orlando, and I'm coming in for a cuddle. I'm Big Spoon. And then we were jolted by this kind of wonk. And he says, "What just happened?" And now, because we're lying at an angle, I say, "I think the bed broke." So we get up, we take the mattress off. It's an IKEA bed, so it's supported by this beam that like hooks onto this clip. Only they've both bent, so that's not gonna be working tonight. We take it, I ask him for the drill, he brings it, I take the bed apart. We set the mattress inside the frame, so it looks like we're sleeping in a drawer. The next day, I get on chat to IKEA, and I explain the problem, and they say, "Okay, no problem. We'll get you a spare piece. We'll send it to you." I'm like, "Yeah, but how?" And they say, "Canada Post." So it wasn't a strike. They were locked out. They had their benefits canceled. But I'm like, "No, please don't send it Canada Post. They're not delivering right now. I'll go to the store and get it." I actually live on Cavendish, same street as IKEA. It's just I'm on the other side, so it's like, and my communito bill is overdue, so I can't take a car. So I do transit. It's like a 3-4 hour round trip, bus, metro, bus, and then you have to wait in the queue, and that actually goes pretty smoothly. The guy tells me where to find the beam. He gives me the spare piece. That's wonderful. So I'm in the metro. I'm in the bus again with the clip in my bag. I'm hearing this 5-foot metal thing that extends. But I come home, I assemble it. It's fine. I don't have to sleep in a drawer again. It's great. I don't mind doing that because I always support striking workers. I've had enough shitty bosses that no, always support the striking workers. Their collective agreement is up in May. Again, they might need our support in the future. So elbows up, folks.
Before he was a park with a swimming pool, Jean Drapeau was the mayor of Montreal. And I almost knocked him off his feet in the lobby of the Omni Hotel, corner of Sherbrooke and Peel. I'm 29 and in a hurry. See it all, do it all before I fall off the cliff. The big 3-0. I'm already running behind. My clock is ticking. There are no more fish in the sea. And my career switch is inadvisable. Too much advice. Too much anxiety. So, 9 to 5. I'm a number cruncher. That's my money-making talent. But dancing is my soul. Yeah. Every Tuesday after work, I race over to the Omni, to a jazz dance class in the club there. The sound system, oh, it blasts you out of your ankle warmers. And they have a disco ball. I barrel into the lobby. The music is starting up. Dancing Queen, ABBA. The lights from the disco ball are twinkling out onto the lobby window 2 stories high. I'm looking high, moving way too fast. 2 men in black sweep around me, lift me into the air, and carry me off to the side. I float. It's my Swan Lake move. And that's when I see him, the big black-rimmed glasses. It's Jean Drapeau. I was on a collision course with the mayor of Montreal. He's not looking where he's going. No, he's walking, talking to his assistant. He doesn't see obstacles. They don't exist for him. He's got those sweeper people. I want a couple of those. Yeah, to smooth the way, No more anxiety, just dancing to 3, 4, 5, 6, 0. Thank you.
I'm in the Rito Center food court, finishing a souvlaki. My hair is styled in a formal updo. I'm just grabbing a quick bite before my makeup appointment because in 4 hours I will be playing the piano while my goddaughter walks down the aisle. I'm trying to stay calm. I'm well prepared, but I admit I'm feeling a bit nervous about playing at such an important event, plus the emotional significance of seeing my goddaughter, who I held in my arms as a newborn, taking this bold step into adulthood. The mall is packed with Saturday shoppers, and of course, I'm people watching. And I notice a group of people with a strange expression on their faces. They're focused on something in the distance behind me, so I turn around and bang, 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 and everyone runs. In a split second, I choose what I'll take. Purse? Yes. Coat? Yes. Ginger ale? No. And I join the frantic exodus. I see the terrified teenagers, employees of a sporting goods store, using their body weight to close the heavy glass door to lock themselves inside. I yell at a young family, "Don't go into the food court." And after about a minute of running, the mall becomes completely normal. And I talked to a woman who was running with me. She said there was a guy with a knife. I figured that the bangs we heard must have been furniture hitting the floor. With adrenaline still coursing through my veins, I go get my makeup done. And I realize that I no longer feel so afraid of playing a wrong note. A few hours later, the procession is happening, everything is going fine, and at one moment, I glance up and I glimpse how beautiful my goddaughter looks as she enters the room, and I'm overcome by another wave of emotion. But again, I push through and keep playing till the end. Thank you.
And all the students turned away, learning from tomorrow what they had learned today. And nobody had seen, nobody had saw that the sun turned red and the moon turned green. It was 1972, the year of the first Canada-Russia hockey series. Yes, that long ago. I was taking Psychology 101 at McGill University. We had over 100 students in our class. Our first exams were just 2 weeks away. We were expected to send in a short-term paper summarizing, in our own words, what we had learned so far. Back then, writing a short-term paper meant rushing to the university library, taking excerpts from books of psychology, paraphrasing different parts of them, putting them all together, summarizing it, and sending it in as your submission. I was angry and I was frustrated watching this. And that's when I wrote, and all the students turned away, learning from tomorrow what they had learned today. And nobody had saw, nobody had seen that the sun turned red and the moon turned green. I was angry and frustrated, and I couldn't do this. So what I was going to do, I had a different idea. I was going to tell a short fictional story, wrap it around the main points of what we've learned so far, use music and visuals to enhance my presentation. I called it a creative academic lecture, or CAL for short. I pitched it to my professor. She liked it, and she let me do it on one condition only. There's always one condition only. The top grade in the class was 30 out of 30. Either I would get 30 out of 30 or 0 out of 30. I protested, saying no other student was subject to the same conditions. She quickly reminded me no other student presented her a creative academic lecture. I asked if I can get back to her tomorrow. She said, absolutely not. You have 2 minutes to answer. 3 seconds later, I blurted out, yes. I quickly realized if I didn't believe in me, why should she? Needless to say, the days leading up to the presentation were nerve-wracking. I didn't sleep. I'd never done a creative academic lecture, and to my knowledge, nobody's ever done a creative academic lecture. 5 minutes before the presentation, I panicked. What the hell was I doing? It was too late. The lights started to dim. Showtime. 30 minutes later, the lights went on. There was silence. Nobody moved. I panicked. I said, oh my God, 0 out of 30 in my first performance? Then all of a sudden, there was a thunderous applause from the back of the room. My teacher got up and applauded, and all the students got up and applauded me. And yes, I got 30 out of 30. The following year, I did another creative academic lecture. And yes, I got 30 out of 30 again. Thank you.
I've always had a thing for psychologists, but this guy's kind of twitchy. We just met at this 5-day meditation retreat that I spent sobbing, and Etienne spent missing cigarettes. Etienne looks like he's going through an ugly divorce, because he is. And he does that thing that married men do when they find out I'm single with no kids. He turns me into his symbol of freedom and fun. And he drools his regrets all over me. He says, yeah, if I could start over, I wouldn't have had my kids. And I'm like, so cool. Do you think you can give me a lift back to Montreal? So we're driving down the 40 in his clunky Chrysler, and Etienne's telling me, yeah, you know, my wife and I, we wanted different things. And the things Etienne wanted were deep spiritual growth and way more sex. And so guess what? This is not my first ride in a married man's Chrysler. So I know how this works. And so when Etienne reaches his twitchy, clammy hand onto my knee, I'm like, dude, you're not divorced yet. And he's like, oh, yeah, sorry, so sorry. I always wanted to know what it would feel like to bang someone who meditates. So 3 years later, I'm in line for an espresso because I'm a very good meditator. And on this big screen TV, I see Etienne's face. And the headline says, psychologist found guilty of trafficking cocaine and pimping and fucking his patients at gunpoint. Thank you.